Happy Sunday, folks.
Happy Sunday. Or as I frequently like to say, hey y'all.
Welcome to another episode of the Soulful Stir. I am Diamond Symoné.
And I'm your girl, Tash.
Tell-
And because of my intro, I do want to shout out to my girl, Sakias.
Who?
Sakias from Instagram and TikTok. You ever seen her? She
No.
cooks and she always say, hey y'all. And her whole platform is just her cooking for her man. And she be like, babe, it's good. And she be like, how it tastes.
Oh, no.
And it's real cute.
That sounds very cute.
But yeah.
Bless her heart. Shout out to Takia. Tell me something good, Tash.
To put y'all in my personal business, I did get some good news this week. I got a normal mammogram, so that's good.
Oh, congratulations. That's very
yes.
important.
I don't really know. I had something else on my mind. I literally thought about it this morning. And I was like, when we record, I'm going to say this in addition to that. And it has just, I forgot. So I guess it doesn't really matter.
Oh. Well, if you think of it in the meantime or somewhere along the lines, along the way, if you will, then you can always, add it in. I will say I got another paper down. I am very happy about that because Lord knows this has been a long road. But, one step closer to completing this program. So that's my good news. But I also would like to add that I recently got accepted into another fellowship. So that's my add-on, if you will. I'm excited about that too. And I'll be able to share more details about the program at a later date. But yeah, we actually want to talk to you guys about something very specific this episode, or about specific experiences related to college. Yeah. This is our first topical.
Yeah, one of my favorite times of my life.
I agree.
And it's really hard to say that because I enjoyed grad school and I thoroughly enjoyed law school. But undergrad was very memorable.
I agree with that.
I'm extremely biased when I say this, but when I say this to other millennials, they understand exactly why I say what I say. But in my opinion, I hands down had the best college experience ever. Because I was in college.
Debatable.
From the years of 2005 to 2009 in Atlanta, at Georgia State, downtown Atlanta, in the height of the snap music era.
Okay, yeah, I take that back. You did say that during an earlier episode, and I did agree with you. That song was lit as fuck.
It was, ghetto. But when I tell you, it was the most fun ever. Like, even just to touch on the proximity, like, for people who are not aware of Atlanta or the landscape or just the metro area of Atlanta in general. But one of our buildings at Georgia State, which is where I had a lot of classes at, it was called GCB, or that's what we called it as students. And that was short for General Classroom Building. And it sat on the corner, and God forgive me because I cannot remember the name of these streets to save my life. But it was on like a main street in downtown, and it was like at a major intersection. And across the street, literally when you walk out of the steps of GCB, you can stand on the steps and you can see the world famous Walters. For those of you who don't know or are not hip hop culture adjacent, Walters is the famous shoe store / clothing store that literally gave birth to a lot of hip hop culture. And not just in Atlanta. A lot of rappers in that era rapped about going to Walters, rapped about buying shoes from Walters, buying clothes from Walters. Walters was a small family owned shoe store. And they had all the clothes for the culture around that time, which would have been your Dickies, your Jabos. Anything around that time, you name it, they sold it. They would have the sneaker lines outside for, days at a time, people waiting on custom sneakers. But I used to walk outside of that building and I've seen everybody from the likes of Rick Ross to a Fabo, Crime Mob, you name it, they were there, like, at that time. And Crime Mob is really different too, because when I went to high school in Atlanta, Crime Mob, they're literally around my age, and they went to one of the high schools that was my rival high school at the time. Shout out to Cedar Grove, but really we know it's all about Southwest DeKalb. So yeah, so I went to Southwest DeKalb, and Cedar Grove was the school that Crime Mob went to. So literally we would see them. They would perform at like talent shows and like showcases and pep rallies and stuff like that. So from even back as far as I would say my high school years until college, I was in Atlanta like during the heat, like the prime of that early 2000s culture, that Lil Jon era that segued into the D4L franchise era. I remember going on a road trip listening to nothing but Shawty Low from the time we left Atlanta to the time we got to Daytona.
Well, that sounds like an amazing time. Do you want to know what I was doing during that time? Would you like to know?
Please let's not address the disparities, the gaps in time in the room.
I'm just going to say I was in middle school during that time. You know, college definitely crossed my mind, but it was not on my radar. And I, for damn sure, wasn't on anyone's campus. Oh, that was the time of the 3D twist and the Nubian knot bun. That was still that era. Yeah. 05. Yeah. 04, 05, 06. Yeah. So that's what I was doing. Although I did talk about my first decision or my first choice was a HBCU, Clark Atlanta. And I got accepted to Clark Atlanta. I ended up going to Eastern because the money was there. Even though I went to Eastern, I went to a PWI, I still had a great time. And it's very interesting because the timing of which we both went to college was vastly different, if you will, in terms of like culture and, you know, what was relevant, what music was relevant. I was heavy. That was like, for me, that was like heavy Drake era, like in college. That was like Drake. What's the album?
Oh, that was
the Blue album.
I can't think of it, but that's crazy because From Nothing to Something, I remember when that dropped vividly, but I wasn't in college. I was like, or if I maybe was a senior in college because I think it dropped in 08 or 09. But that Drake era was my club era. Like, I just turned 21. So, like, we were literally... I mean, we were going to clubs regardless because we had a lot of clubs that we could go to that we were 18 and up. But, like, when I say my club era, like, I was actually able to, like, go buy drinks and not have somebody buy them for me before the club. You know, that was the Four Loko era. That's something that I want to talk about, but I really don't want to talk about it right now.
You want to know something?
I've never had a Four Loko. I'm going to talk about Four Loko.
I've never had one. To this day.
I'm going to talk about that.
What's the hype?
I'm going to talk about that during Counsel and Confessions. I'm going to put it that way. Because it's a very, very funny story. And it's so crazy because me and my best friend talk about this literally maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks because we crack a joke on each other about it. But it's a very, very devastating story. I mean, I ain't going to say devastating, but it's crazy to say the least. But to kind of piggyback off of what you said a little bit, it's weird because as I've stated before, I am proud Georgia State University alumni, Go Panthers. But Georgia State is a PWI. But anybody, I don't know about this new era of attendees, but anybody from my era, like me and my sister actually went to school at the same time. So we were there together. A lot of people that were before me and after me, like because of the location of Georgia State, which was direct proximity to Georgia Tech, the AUC, which is Spelman, Clark, Morehouse, Morris Brown. We were a PWI, but the Greek culture, the Greek life on our campus, and just like even the Black student organizations and everything were so strong and had such a heavy presence. It did not often feel like a PWI, honestly, until you got in some of the classrooms. And I can only say that, to be completely honest, from the experience of some of my friends, because I do have a double bachelor's, one in journalism and the other half in African American studies. And I say that to say my journalism classes were early on, and I purposely overlap some of the classes that I could use for both majors, and those usually tended to be heavier on the African American studies side. So I have a little bit more of a skewed view of what it felt like to be a student at a PWI, because socially it did not feel like a PWI. Educationally, for me, it didn't feel like a PWI either, because once again, I was heavy into my African American studies major for one of those degrees, and all of my professors were black. My classes were 95% black. My professors were highly esteemed in academia, meaning they literally wrote the textbooks that we use for class.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes, and we have a very big, we had Sankofa Society, which is something I was a part of on campus as well.
It's very Tash
we had a
coded.
very huge presence. Some of our professors, their significant others and their spouses worked for African-based learning institutions outside of our school. So I say that to say that my education, though it's a PWI on the paper on the degree, I don't have that experience. I was, because of my African American studies background, when we had to intern, to do thesis and things like that before we graduated, I had to volunteer at black owned spaces. We had to go to things in the black community. We didn't get to just go wherever. I was literally forced to immerse myself in black culture. So it didn't really feel like I was somewhere that I didn't belong, or I would say it didn't feel like I was somewhere that didn't cater to those like me. I felt more at home. To be completely honest, I felt more of pro-black and we doing this real black thing at Georgia State than I felt when I went to Clark. I have a double master's from Clark. For those of you that are interested in knowing that, one is in sociology and the other is in criminal justice. But even though I was at Clark for 2 years, obtaining those 2 degrees, I didn't feel the community and the sense of belonging like I felt at Georgia State. And I don't know if it was because I was in a master's program and not an undergrad.
Yeah.
But even with the unorthodox makeup of our campus at Georgia State, because we didn't have traditional on-campus housing and things of that nature. We had it, but it was different. It wasn't what it looked like in traditional spaces, but it was so much black community. I felt like all the black kids I went to school with as freshmen, even though it was a commuter school, we all lived on campus. We all literally got to know each other. It was a big thing, that so much so that myself and a lot of those people still keep in contact to this day, via social media, networking and things of that nature. More so than I keep into contact with those that I went to Clark with.
Yeah, I think that it makes a difference when you are in undergrad versus grad. Just looking at my experience as a grad student, it's vastly different from when I was in undergrad. I was living on campus my first year, and even on the years after that, I lived off campus, but I didn't live too far from campus. So it definitely makes a difference in terms of the proximity, and I think your overall experience of how you feel, accepted or engulfed in a culture, depending on your level of study. Because Lord knows, I barely, it's very rare that you'll catch me on campus. If I'm on campus for something at this point in my life, it's probably because I have to go to an office to pick up something, or, every once in a while I'll drop into class in person. But when you have the option of being on Zoom, it's just better, because I don't want to have to drive all the way to campus after working a full day if I don't have to.
Well, unfortunately, as you stated, since we started this, that the time differences between these things are so
have that
large.
option.
Listen, I don't even think Zoom was a thing when I went to grad school.
It was not. I would be very shocked to learn
I don't
that
think
it was.
we had Zoom. I think Zoom is a fairly newer thing. And then not only that, it was, the online thing is very new. I think I did in my very last year of grad school, I had a professor that did try to do an online class one time. Because she was ill, but it was so many issues that we ran into because it just wasn't like a thing back then.
Yeah.
Like we literally had to go to every class. And even then when we did have online classes like in undergrad, you know, there was no Zoom option. Like you have an our online classes in undergrad would have been like posting discussion boards, posting stuff, and then showing up at class to do a test every once in a while. But like to actually sit there and have like cameras and classes, nah, like it's such a.
I mean, the workload is definitely different, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing to not have the option of being on Zoom. It's definitely helpful. It just helps to provide a little bit more work-life balance because, you know, the times when I did decide to go to, or when I do decide to go on campus and be in person for class, I have to, you know, kind of make sure I'm planning ahead that week. Like, what am I going to have for dinner? Because I'm not getting home until late, you know.
Yeah.
So it's that, and just making sure whatever I got to do for the day, I'm able to get it done during the day. Because when I get home, I'm just going to want to shower and rest. And then that's it. So, you know, that's one thing. I want to hit like on our different segments, but I want to kind of do it in a different way. So when we're talking about health and wellness, mind, body, and balance, what are some things that like became clear for you in college related to mind, body, and balance? Like, what are some of the practices that you learned in college, or just things that you did differently, like versus how you grew up? Because I feel like when I went away to college, well, I think this is for everyone. You have more autonomy over everything, over what you decide to eat, your everyday practices, how you decide to live your life. When you're in college, most of the time we have full autonomy over that. So something that I stopped doing just because, not for like no real reason, like I just didn't want to eat it anymore. I stopped eating pork and beef in college. That was like my first introduction to not eating it. I had eaten all the meat my whole life, but then that changed drastically. But I will share that another discovery that I found is that oatmeal and coconut water is a supreme hangover remedy. Like separately,
Yeah,
it's a pretty good remedy.
Going with that.
It doesn't seem like it. Like it seems like, why do you want to eat oatmeal, especially if you have a hangover? But I promise, like, that shit works. It works.
Well, for myself, to be completely honest, I can't say, if I really reflect on it rationally, I can't say that there was anything in college that changed. You know, I'm a very proud Capricorn. And I say that to say that we are very traditional in a sense of like.
You're on the cusp. You could have been
No,
a
I'm not.
Sagittarius.
No, I'm not, baby. I'm 7+ days away.
Damn.
Don't group me with y'all.
I was really trying to.
No,
because we're the better sign.
I'm right. I'm smack dab in the middle. The 29th. I'm right
That's sad.
there. But back to what I was saying. See, everybody always wants us. Aquarius want us. Sagittarius want us. But we really just trying to do our own thing. But that's neither here nor there. So I say that to say that I'm a very routine, like a really routine and traditional type person. So, and it's weird because when I went to college, I was the exact opposite of, I think, people. I didn't shy away from anything. I think I leaned more into the things that were tradition for me and taught to me at home, because in my mind, I was becoming an adult and I was like, I should do as the adults do. You know what I'm saying? So like I was that friend that was trying to make my friends have balance. Everybody need to get a job. Y'all need to clean y'all room. Everybody need to be changing sheets, eating right. Like I used literally to make my friends like, stop eating so much starch. Stop doing this, like green vegetables, this. I was extremely healthy. I worked out, did kickboxing, all kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong. Like on the weekends, we would take back some Everclear like it was nobody's business. But through the week,
Everclear. Ooh.
I was completely, like, I was walking to class. I was like, you know, doing stuff like that. When that changed for me was when I went to law school. was because law school was so hard, and law school forced me out of my element. Because, for example, when I was in undergrad, I still held on a full-time job, went to school, all this other stuff. When I went to grad school, I had literally just purchased a home. I was working full-time. I was helping my friend run a business. I was doing a lot. So I had to have structure. So all the things that I was taught, because my mom is a very structured person, I continued those things. Now, when I went to law school and I could not work because they will not allow you to work. So my budgeting was different and life was different. Law school, like, literally put me on my ass like several times. And then I started to switch my mind of like, what do I care about? Like, do I care about cleaning up my apartment today, or do I care about studying so I can pass this exam? Because that's how down bad law school had me. And so I had never been that, like,
Ooh, that sounds scary.
that stuck before. Like, I had people in law school for months that weren't washing their hair because they were so busy. They were so scared to, like, if I spend 4 or 5 hours doing my hair, I'm going to lose study time. Like, it had us in a way that my lifestyle changed drastically. I became vegan in law school, but I also, like, my mind changed about a lot of stuff. Because I also, when I went to law school, I was 28. When I graduated, I was 31. So I don't know if it was law school or if it was just me coming into my 30s where it was kind of like, I don't care about none of this no more. I'm about to make rules that work for me, because I was focused on school and it was the rest of this stuff can wait. I started skipping holidays. Like, I was never from a family where we didn't get together for the holidays, but it was like I would rather stay home and work on my law brief than sit here and have 2 plates of Thanksgiving food with y'all, especially once I went vegan, because I was like, I don't even eat what y'all eating, so I'm gonna skip the holidays. Like, a lot of the stuff I started challenging as far as the status quo, because I had to learn more self-preservation than anything, because I realized that my mental health was faltering. My physical health had gotten really bad at one time. Like, my Crohn's was flaring up real bad because I was stressed out about law school. And so after so many times of, like, going to the hospital and all of that stuff and, like, being away from my family, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to live life how I want to. So I think law school changed me more than anything because it literally broke me down. Like, when I'm talking about almost pretty much had a nervous breakdown, like, after law school was over. Like, that's how I ended up back in Michigan, which is a whole nother story. But yeah, like, it was bad. So I think law school changed me the most, for the good and the bad, because I picked up a lot of healthy habits as far as the research I was doing about holistic living and a vegan lifestyle and all of that. Like, even though I don't necessarily eat a completely vegan diet now, all the things I learned then still I carry with me. So I think that was the most transformative, like, mind body experience as far as linked to education, I would say, just because I was experiencing things and feelings and thoughts that I had never experienced before.
Yeah, no, that thank you for sharing that. I think that we will find there are way more people, or so many people, I would say, that have a story that's in alignment with your own. Because I've heard some horror stories about law school and med school from my friends who have successfully gone and completed, their programs. More power to y'all.
When people ask me, was it hard?
Lot.
When people ask me, was it hard? I always just tell this one little story. I went to law school orientation for the very first time. At one point in time, they said, we're going to separate the potential students and their guests. So the guests that came with you were either your parents, your significant other, whoever. Mm-hmm. They got us in a room and they were like, listen, this guy stood up and said, are you sure you want to do this? And everybody was looking at him like, what? Because he was like a law school dean. And he was like, I want you to know before you go into this and before you sign your tuition check, that this career field has the highest rates of suicide, divorce, substance abuse.
Jesus.
He was like, because you don't understand the multitude of things you carry. And when I say he ain't never lied, like, I see it now in my career because of by virtue of what I do, as I don't want to say this the wrong way, and I don't want to say too much, but as somebody who is in a position at a regulatory agency for other attorneys, I see it all the time where attorneys will start working, in a few years into practice, they got a whole lot of grievances and things going wrong because personal life is hitting them. And it's not just personal life, it's a combination of trying to carry your clients' problems. And when you think about law, I always tell people a lot of things are life or death. Like if you have
it's serious.
if you have a client that's possibly facing death row, that's life or death for your client. Mm-hmm. If you have somebody that, you know, is being sued for $50,000, even if it's a civil suit, if you have somebody that's being sued for $100,000 and they only make $30,000 a year, that's life or death for them, because essentially now they're going to be in a horrible financial state, which is going to change the what am I trying to say?
The trajectory.
The trajectory and the quality of their life. Mm-hmm. So when we sat down and he told us that, literally, it was kind of one of those things like, do you really want to do this? And my aunt is a lawyer. My mom's baby sister is an attorney. And when I told her I got accepted to law school, she was like, why? She was like literally was like, you sure you want to do this? And like, my aunt knows me enough, and the first thing she said was, Tash, you can make a lot of money doing a lot of stuff that don't require you being a lawyer. And I was like, girl, it ain't about the money, it's about the law. It's what I want to do. And now I'm sitting here like, I can't believe I was so damn stupid. Like, are you crazy? But I love what I do, don't get me wrong. But
it's something so powerful about going to school for exactly what you want to do.
Yes.
And putting in the work to cultivate and foster the life that you want, not based off of what somebody else's experience was, because all of our experiences are different, right? Every time. But sometimes you have vastly different experiences than what somebody else is telling you. And even just all the stuff that you just talked about, like it's the process, it's the journey that you went through in law school that made a hell of a difference, I'm sure, you know, in the way that you live your life now, the way that you approach things, and the way that you think, you strategize things. I know what it's like to feel like, why the fuck did I do this? Because I have those moments sometimes, and I have to just remind myself that it's about the journey. What am I learning in this moment? How can I apply it to my life moving forward? How is this going to make a difference? It's always something to be learned. But on the mental note, in college, without saying too much, and maybe I will expound on this later, but college was a very bright time for me, but there were some very dark pockets in college for me. And I think that a lot of the darkness that I experienced in college was experienced in silence. You know, like, I don't think really nobody knew the magnitude of how stressed I was at some point. I would frequently get migraines in college, and in high school too. I noticed after college, I don't get them, like as an adult, I don't get them nearly as much as I used to.
Yeah.
Like, it's rare for me to get a migraine now, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's navigating life. Like, I don't come from a very structured household, I would say. It's kind of like more of an ebb and flow, you know. Single mom, doing her best, 2 girls. You know, my dad was around, but it's almost like he had the option, you know what I'm saying? So it's that, and then I am more of a type A kind of friend, more of a structured person. I like to have an organized schedule. So I will say that going to college gave me autonomy over that, to where I was able to develop a bit better. But then I also met some really cool people and had these great experiences where I was able to become more business savvy. I learned how to communicate, learn how to articulate my ideas, how to run a meeting, how to be on time for shit.
Yeah.
Because Lord knows I hated that aspect of growing up and always being late to something. But You know, I
Not
just,
not Charmaine. Charmaine be there 30 minutes early. Like, even to this day, I don't even want to go nowhere with
no.
her. Because if you stay at her house and tell her you got to be up at 6:30,
Yeah.
6:15, she coming in the room. She like, well, because you just need some time to get yourself together, get up. Like, she will rush you.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I understand. And that's very noble of her. I also just want to hit on being a first generation college graduate. Like, neither of my parents went to college. And I'm the daughter of an immigrant too. So that looks vastly different, you know. But the ways in which they value education for me was the same. Both of my parents were like, no, you're going to go to college. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. So I've always had the support. But then there's just some things that you can't talk to your parents about because they don't really understand what it's like. It's not a mirrored experience of their own.
Yeah.
They don't know, you know, what it's like to be in college and have to, you know, you're going through all these motions. You are responsible for yourself in a different way. But then you're also taking all of these classes, and some of the classes really have nothing to do with what you're studying. You know, you're balancing your personal life and being broke as fuck in college. But we still managed to have a good time, you know. So it's all of that. And then it's also just growing and learning yourself. I started to question a lot of things in college, like my religious beliefs and, you know, your relationships, romantic relationships, platonic relationships. You know, all of this is like affected during that time period. So there's so many factors that I feel like aided in my experience and my journey. I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
But when you say, like, you talked about having a mental breakdown, and like, I really look back on it and I feel like it's really by the grace of God. And I think too, because I've always, well, for the most part, I feel like I'm pretty chill. And I've always had this like overflow to myself, right? But I think that people just kind of overlooked. It was easy for people to overlook me and what I was going through at the time, because I feel like I masked it so well.
Yeah.
So
before we move to the next segment, though, just to kind of a little bit off of one of the things you just said, I just want to give my mama a shout out. Shout out to my girl, to my muffin. And I say that because I don't think I've ever said this to her, and I don't think she realizes that I am so grateful for her. My mom was a teen mom. She had me at 17. So a lot of the things that I got to experience, she didn't get to. But I will say, for her to have limited experience in certain areas, she trusted me enough to make decisions for myself that she backed me on, not really knowing how it was going to go, but she trusted me. Because I vividly remember being in high school and finding out about dual enrollment, like knowing I had the grades, I could go to college full time while I'm in high school, I could go for free, all of this stuff. And I remember telling my mom, like, this is what I want to do. They're going to pay for it. Whatever they wouldn't pay for, she said she would pay for it. My grandfather said he would take care of it. And we went to the counselor, and my mom was like, this is what she wanted to do. Take her off this high school schedule. So my senior year of high school, I was a freshman in college. Literally all of my classes were at Georgia State. I just went up to my high school to go to cheerleading practice and soccer games because I played soccer. And so when the counselor kept saying, no, this isn't a good idea, I think she should stay here and take AP classes, my mom was like, what do you want to do? Like, we had this conversation in the car on the way up to the school, like, Mama, whatever they say, this is what I want to do. And my mom was like, respectfully, lady, my child don't want to do that. This is what she want to do. Like, she had no idea how it was going to get done, because we had this whole conversation about, like, how you going to get downtown? I was like, girl, I'm going to figure it out. I'll catch the train. I'll drive. Like, all this stuff I had set up before I even had a car. And instead of her fighting me on it, she trusted me. Like, when I said I was ready to, I had literally just bought a house. When I said I was packing up my stuff to move to a state I had never been to in my life to go to law school, she supported me. She trusted me. Like, I vividly remember, and I'm getting ready to cry because I vividly remember being at work the summer before law school. And I had to get ready to move into an apartment. And then the tuition statement had came. I was having issues with my scholarship, my student loans. And I called my mom at work. I was at work. And I was just crying. And I was like, Mama, I just don't think I should go. Maybe this is God saying I shouldn't go. Like, I just bought this house. Like, I should stay here. I got a good job. Maybe this isn't for me. And my mom broke down crying. And she was like, this is your dream. She was like, whatever I have to do to make sure you get there, you're going to go. And I never forgot that phone conversation to this day, because she was like, I can't let you stop. Like, she saw something that I saw in myself, but I was still hesitant about, you know, because I had security. Like, to be completely honest, when I left to go to law school, I had bought my house at 24. I was almost 28. I was making probably $30 an hour on a job, or close to it. I was probably making like $25, anywhere between $25 and $30 an hour. I had a house. I didn't have no kids. I had a brand new car. I literally was living a young person's dream. Like, you know, I had surpassed my mom. I didn't have any children. I had 4 degrees at that time. And my mom could have easily said, okay, you know, it ain't time. You already did enough. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking maybe I've done enough. And she was like, you haven't. You know what I'm saying? This is the only thing you want to do. However, we're going to get you there. We're going to get you there. And just her having that conversation with me, as many times as I had really dark times in law school, I would think of that conversation and realize that I couldn't give up, because my mama was willing to give up whatever she had to get me there. And I was like, okay, if I've gotten here, that's half the battle. Like, if I made it here, if they accepted me, I done graduated from grad school with a 3.9 while I was working full time. Like, there's nothing that I can't do. But I had to have her in that corner to tell me that. And that's very unusual from somebody who grew up, you know what I'm saying? She grew up in inner city Detroit as a teen mom. Like, you know what I'm saying? Her options were limited, but she made sure she put me and my brother in spaces that we can do what it is that we dreamed of doing. And she didn't stop. Like, regardless of how it looked to her, it was always like a lot of love and support to come from her. Like, it was things that I had to explain to her, and she was just like, okay, what do you need me to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, she didn't understand certain things, you know, like.
And I think that makes such a critical difference in your experience to having parents or having a mom that is willing to support you and really help you to be, you know, a compass for your dreams and goals. Like, okay, whatever you want to do. My mom is like that too. We actually, shout out to my aunt Sharon, Auntie Pete. We packed up her van and drove it to Ipsy. Yeah, we did that. And my mom, she's always been, you know, a support system in the wings, helping me figure out, you know, especially financial stuff, financial situations. Trust me, I get it.
Yeah.
Because I done been there. Ooh. Like, I don't know how I'm about to pay for this. I don't know how this is going to go. And my mom is always like, we going to figure it out. You got to finish. Like, you're going to finish this. So it definitely makes a difference to have a strong mother and a strong foundation to stand on. Because I know people that don't have that and didn't have that. And because it wasn't a lived experience of my own, you know, I was able to empathize with them. But I'm just like, damn, like, I can't even imagine what that's like, because I don't know what I would have done.
I can't. Even me and my dad, like, me and my dad don't have the best relationship. We be on and off. But I remember when I was in law school, and I was like, I was struggling. I was trying to, like, prepare for some kind of, like, trial competition or something. My daddy got on a mega bus and rode from Atlanta to Montgomery to sit in my house and listen to me. He was like, my daddy was like, I've been a criminal all my life. I know what court sound like. Literally, that's what he told me. He's like, I done heard enough opening and closing statements to know if yours sound good. And I was like, Daddy, you ain't never been. He was like, trust me, I know. I'm on my way. And he came, like, and so I just want to say shout out to them parents, like, because it's really easy to not understand your children, and I'm not gonna say kill their dreams, but to not fully support something you don't understand. And I get that. Like, as an adult, you know, I ask 1,001 questions all the time about something before I could be like, yeah, I'm gonna do it, or I commit to something. So I understand the hesitation, you know, sometimes based on their lived experiences, to kind of understand some of the stuff that we're willing to go through or we want to do. But shout out to them for putting that aside, to just help, you know, especially when you're talking about education, and just matriculating through that educational system. People don't understand how necessary a good support system is.
Yeah, because it's hard. Like, it literally, that is the time when you really find out, damn, it really take a village.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, you know, my parents, my mentors, my extended family, you know, aunts, uncles who have inspired me and chipped in to help to make it possible. All of those people have made, you know, such a great difference. But my mom, and my mama the GOAT for real, she makes shit happen. To this day, she makes shit happen. I don't know how, but shout out to Angie B. Shout out to Angie B.
Yeah, that's...
On a lighter note, you know, I do want to jump into a little bit of rhythm and groove. We are almost at 45. You know, we get real deep into the nooks and crannies of everything. But I got on here, for some reason I wrote down dating Greeks and college love. Like, what was that like? Have you ever? Let me just back it up.
We not doing that.
Okay, we're not gonna talk about dating Greeks.
We not doing that because I have a horror story. Okay,
I feel like
how two of my pieces got caught up, and they wasn't even caught up. It was just weird. Like, it was weird. Like, it was one of those situations where I dated somebody before. He acted very nonchalant, like he didn't care about nothing.
Don't they always?
And once he was a part of a fraternity, but he was at another school, at one of the surrounding schools that was in the Atlanta area. But naturally, people talk, you know, amongst the Black community. Right. And unfortunately, when he decided that he didn't want to pay me the attention that I needed, I met somebody else and entertained this person. And halfway through our dating situation, like when we were dating, before we even became a couple, while we were dating, he revealed to me that he was interested in joining a certain organization because he was legacy through his family and all this other stuff. And that organization happened to be the same one that old dude was in.
You're going to have to tell me off air what organization this is, just because I just want to know for my own nosiness.
So they were in the same organization, and when my actual boyfriend at the time was, you know, matriculating through that process, we just gonna leave it at that.
Let's leave it at that.
They had quite a few interactions that were not brotherly. Let's say that they had some very non-brotherly interactions.
Okay.
And my name came up specifically, like, you think you this and that because you doing this to my that. Ooh. That kind of conversation, like very non-brotherly at all, you know. And so it started to be an issue in my relationship where it was like, are you still seeing this person? Because every time this person come around me, they keep saying this, they keep saying that. When all the while, old dude was just jealous. Like, he was mad because I had moved on. Like, I vividly remember, this was the same person. Remember I was telling you the other day, I blocked him and he sent me a message on LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So at that time, this was like old school Facebook. So this was probably like 2000. If I graduated college in 2009, this had to be like 2006, 2007 when this happened.
I didn't know that LinkedIn was around.
It had just came out, girl.
Oh, wow.
But at that time, like, we was heavy on Facebook, and I had, like, I wouldn't pick up the phone, and I just vividly remember getting a message from him that said, I see you got a man now. You look happy. That's what's up. And that was it. Unfortunately, that didn't end there, but yeah.
Well, all I can say is
very interesting.
You're not the only one who's had an interesting experience with a Greek person. I will say that I only really allowed one to get close to me, and that was more than enough. And I know my sins that know they probably gonna listen to this and laugh. That was more than enough. I did not need to repeat that lesson again.
Anybody that knew me prior to 2000, anybody that know me prior to 2015, I already know who these people are. Because me and the first dude, after me and my boyfriend broke up, we ended up like dating again after that. Like we were like on and off literally for 10 years. Like the way we broke it off is because I sent him an email and was like, "Hey dog, it's been 10 years. What are we doing?" Like, and I literally, like, I wonder if I still have it in my Gmail, because I addressed this whole thing. And I was like literally timelining, like, we started talking, it didn't work. I started talking to somebody else. You got jealous. Me and him broke up. You started talking to somebody else. You got jealous because you see me at a party. You broke up with her. Me and you started talking again. What are we doing? Like,
show me a picture of him. I need to see.
It ain't even worth seeing now. It ain't the same person from 2005.
Yeah, no, I feel like, one was enough for me. I feel like I've always kind of moved real incognito, like real low key. So much so that I've had people tell me that they thought I had a boyfriend all through college, and I did not. I did not have a boyfriend. Did I date? Yes. Did I have a little friend here and there? Of course. And was I having fun? Yeah. But I was not in a relationship throughout college. I just, you have your suitors, some that you like more than others. Everybody has their favorites. And I was no different. But I was good on like dating niggas. And then plus I had some that I had like gotten real cool with, like on some real like brother sister type relationship, and I would see how they will move, and they gave me the cheat code. Like they showed me the game, like how that shit works, and I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm good on all of y'all. I'm so good on all of y'all in real life, but shout out to the Greek letter organizations, especially the Black Greek letter organizations.
Yeah.
Beware of dating Greek men. No, I'm just kidding. They not all bad. We all just ordinary people, right? What John Legend say?
I'm sorry. I'm distracted because I'm listening to you.
You trying to find a picture of homeboy?
No, I just sent you that. My mama just sent me a video of a funeral, and then she just sent me some random person's Facebook random page, and I was like, "Girl, who is that?" She like, "He from Detroit." Who is he? Cause you didn't say nothing. Like, oh, me and my brother be so. Oh, my mom is just so insufferable. I love this lady, but she be tripping. Like, girl,
which one is it? It's the first.
The first one is old dude. The second one is the boyfriend.
The second one is the one that you were on and off with?
No, the first one is one I was on and off with.
Oh, the second.
Light skinned Michael Jackson was 10 years. Dark skinned Michael Jackson. Dark skinned Michael Jackson.
That is so childish.
And I'm crazy for even saying that, because dark skinned Michael Jackson is actually a Michael Jackson like fan. Like I don't even care.
This Michael Jackson on the end.
Oh girl, I'm gonna tell you a story about that one. It ain't good. The looks are very deceiving. The looks are very deceiving. But I'm laughing because I don't care. Shout out to my boy. Look, shout out to my boy Pookie. That's what I used to call dark skin Michael Jackson. We still be cool. His birthday was the other day. We text. But he used to love, like, he's obsessed with Michael Jackson. So much so that
tells me everything I need to know.
He has bad tattooed across his chest. Like bad from the album, like Michael Jackson album.
Shut up, Tash. No, he don't.
Yes, he do. I gotta go find it. If I can't find a picture.
I don't know. Like,
if I can't find a picture.
Like during sexy time, are you thinking about
He didn't
Michael
have
Jackson?
it when we were together.
Oh,
when we was together, we was young. Like, he wasn't even 21 yet. He ain't had no tattoo. Well, he might have had one tattoo when we was together. He's gotten that after the fact.
That would like bother me.
It's really
That would
random.
that would really bother me.
Yeah, it's really random.
Well, let's jump into the delicious dive. I want to talk about a couple things. Number one, when I got to college really exposes you to the friends or just the people that you meet that have no sense of home skills. They don't know how to cook. They don't know how to clean because somebody has always done it for them. I had a friend who was raised with a housekeeper, and she talked about that because when we were in college, she was not the tidiest person, and she did not know how to cook. Like, she really just
That's crazy because I
didn't
had a friend
know.
that was exactly like that.
Yeah.
She wasn't raised with a housekeeper, but her mom was like a high paid cardiologist. So she literally just had access to her mama's cards to like order pizzas because her mom was always at work. Like her mom was a single
Yeah.
mom.
So with that being said, and similar for my friend, her mom was in a high paying position where in a high demanding career field, if you will, and she was often home, by herself. So much so that they had housekeepers, they had chefs, whatever. But it just showed me the power of privilege in that way, but then also seeing how detrimental it can be in the long run, because I didn't like grow up with friends like that per se that I knew of, where they had housekeepers and stuff. Being clean and knowing how to clean your home properly, how to cook. Both of my parents cook very well. So that was like a rite of passage, if you will, to be in the kitchen and learn how to cook, from your elders, learning these recipes and things like that. And to get to college and see and meet so many people who had a totally different life experience and upbringing was like, wow.
Yeah, I used to have to cook
This is
for
crazy.
my friends because they didn't know how to cook, or at least know how to cook like real food. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I used to like bake cakes and cook salmon and steaks and shit like that. They used to cook like noodles, you know what I'm saying? Or a hamburger helper. And I used to.
So shout out to my homegirl Malika, because between me and Malika would cook full on meals. We might have even been making dessert. I remember one time I had like cooked a full dinner for my friends. They had came over one day. I just felt like cooking. And they were so shocked. They were like, oh my God, you could cook for real. And I'm like, yeah, y'all can't.
Exactly. Like, what?
It was just like, I don't know. This is my experience growing up. And so I'm thinking that everybody is, like that. Everybody's experience is the same, and it's not. So I think you get exposed to that. But I just want to talk about the times that we would sit and like cook. Me and Malika, especially, if she was cooking a full meal, I was coming over. If I was cooking a full meal, she was coming over. And maybe I had my other friends come over too. But I had this staple meal that everybody fell in love with. And when I talk about this and they hear this, they're going to be like, oh my God. She still will call me every once in a while or text me and say, I just really want some curry. I just really want some curry chicken. Because I used to make Caribbean food all the time, and I would always make curry chicken. Or I would make curry shrimp, which Janelle won't let me forget about either.
So I used to do that a lot in law school because I was away. But because I was like 20 minutes away from home in Atlanta when I was an undergrad, girl, no, I cook sometimes. I would go to my mama's house and pick up food. I would go to Mama Gail's house and pick up food. I would go to my sister's house and pick up food. And then it was in Atlanta, so this was a hot, this is the hot wind capital of the world, okay? So I was eating American Deli every day if I could. I was eating a lot of Popeyes. I ate a lot of Popeyes, a lot of McDonald's, and a lot of American Deli in college because they were where it was in relation to where we lived on campus, it was super close, and McDonald's was one of the things that stayed open super late. So and it was 24 hours sometimes, so even after parties we could always just go through the drive-through, because unlike a lot of other schools, Georgia State is in the middle of downtown Atlanta, and it's a lot of stuff, but it's not a lot of stuff that caters to like college kids. So when you on a budget, you know what I'm saying, coming back from a party,
that's true.
Yeah, you can stop at Waffle House if you want to, but we didn't want that. We wanted chicken nuggets and french fries. You know what I'm saying? We didn't want to go to the Buckhead Diner or to the nice places that stay open 24 hours because we were on a limited budget.
So wait, was American Deli, is that like a staple in Atlanta culture?
Absolutely.
Okay, so like, even though I don't eat chicken anymore, I'd be tempted to like go and try a place like this and see what the hype is about.
I mean, at American delis, let's be clear, you could get fried fish sometimes, you could get fried shrimp, but
no, I would want to try like, what do people come here for?
If you're an Atlanta person,
yeah,
if you're a real Atlanta person, 9 times out of 10, you go into American Deli, you getting whatever your number of wings is, whether it's a 10, 15, or 20. My order, which is 90% of people's order, is usually hot with lemon pepper sprinkles and a peach and lemonade mixed. So at American Deli, they make like a peach punch and you get it mixed with lemonade. You can do fruit punch mixed with lemonade. Some people do all three. But peach lemonade mix is a staple from American Deli. I don't care what American Deli you go to. It don't even have to be a real American Deli. It could be American Wings. It could be USA Wings. It could be USA Deli. If it's a hot wing place and they offer peach and lemonade, you're not getting wings without getting those two. And I don't really like lemon pepper no more because it's too salty for me. So now I'm a hot honey girl. So whenever I go to Atlanta, I get hot honey wings, but same order, fries, ranch, peach lemonade mix.
That sounds delightful.
You just don't vary, like you just don't vary from that too often. Like if it's so faux pas in Atlanta to get anything other than that, like when you ask somebody, do they want something from American Deli, you just pretty much be like, what kind of wings you want? And then you be like, you want fruit punch, you want peach lemonade mix. And if they say something other than that, like, give me a Coke, you would look at them like, who get a Coke? Like, who does that? Because, yeah.
No, that's so, I would be tempted to try something like that. I don't know how it would. I haven't had chicken in so long that I don't know how, like, I can't even like fathom the taste of it.
When I was vegan and I had a taste for it, I would just go home and get fries with the wing sauce and just dip my fries and my celery
make you feel like
in the wing sauce because I would just want the taste of the sauce.
I don't feel like I want to eat it. Like, I don't feel like I don't have cravings for it or anything.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if I was in Atlanta and I wanted to go to American Deli, just like, I want to try what people come here for, Yeah. So maybe if we decide to go on that adventure with the pod, maybe we might end up in the American Deli, and y'all might see me eating some wings for the first time in years.
If you go to Atlanta with me, there's no way you're not going to American Deli because
we should go to Atlanta.
I need to go
see my grandma.
I don't get off the plane without stopping at American Deli first. Like, I don't care if I'm going to my mom's house, if I'm going to my sister's house, if I'm meeting my friends, unless I know as soon as I touch down we're going out to eat.
Yeah.
I'm stopping at American Deli on my way to somebody's house. And even if I don't get a full meal, I might get like a small 6-piece just to wet my whistle because, yes, I got to have it every time I go.
That sounds like, I don't know, that sounds like I might mess around and relapse.
Yeah. American Deli, it'll do it to you.
Well, shout out to the people who cook and who clean, because that's important. And having the college experience, being able to go to people's houses and like see how different we all live.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we all had that experience growing up, right? You might go over your friend's house or to your mom's your mom's friends' houses, and like maybe it's not as clean as, you used to or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know why, it just hit different for me, like going to college and meeting people who legitimately just didn't know how. They didn't have that skill set because they weren't raised to have it. Mm-hmm. And and then looking at my experience where it's like we had a dishwasher and couldn't use that motherfucker because my mama
And
My
you
mom
know what's
said
crazy?
my mom said that washing dishes builds character.
But you know what's crazy though? My mama never said no shit like that to me. But I agree with that sentiment now that I'm an adult, and that's weird as hell because growing up, we always had a dishwasher. My
We could not use it.
mom never required me to hand wash dishes, and I mean never. My job was to take the dishes out the dishwasher and put them away. But literally, the rule of the house was once you finish eating, you rinse your plate and you put it in the dishwasher. Like, it was never dishes or anything left in the sink. We literally put them in the dishwasher. And the rule was whoever, whether it was me, my mom, my stepdad, my brother, whoever put the last dish in there and you fill it up, you start the dishwasher. And whenever it's done, me or my brother had to empty it, like put the dishes away.
Yeah.
And I lived like that forever. And it's so crazy because even when I bought my first house, I heavily relied on my dishwasher. Something happened. I don't know what it was. And you know what? Now that I say that, I think I do know what the shift was. But when I went to law school, the apartment that I lived in had a dishwasher. But I didn't use it for some reason. As soon as I moved in, I instantly started using, like, hand washing my dishes. I never used a dishwasher. I would only use it as a drying rack. And now I have a dishwasher in my current place, and I only use it as a drying rack for whatever reason. And I just do not believe in putting dishes in a dishwasher. Like, I hand wash everything. And I think the shift came back to what I was saying earlier. When I went to law school, I went on a complete holistic vegan lifestyle. Like, I'm talking about even to this day, I don't wear regular deodorant. I don't wear body lotion. I only use 100% natural oils. Like, I took this hardcore vegan stance that I was only cooking in cast iron. So I could not put that in no dishwasher. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I had to hand wash all that stuff, and I was cooking in Dutch ovens and things of that nature. Like, stuff that my grandmother had passed on to me that I had purchased, or like stuff that was given to me that were very high value or just really nice stainless steel, not stainless steel, but cast iron and things like that.
Love a good cast iron, a good Dutchie. We call them Dutchies.
Yeah, I used to have a really good one, but that's a whole nother story of why I don't have it no more.
Yeah,
I let my emotions get the best of me. But yes, I was gifted a very nice Dutchie back in the day, and I had it. And so for that reason, I think is why I particularly just don't. I've gotten out of the habit of dishwashing stuff because some of my stuff is so sensitive that you can't put in the dishwasher. I just make it a habit. If I just hand wash everything, I won't mess nothing up.
See, it's the opposite for me. Like, I can have a dishwasher even in the when I lived on my own, and living in different places where I had a dishwasher, I would never use it. People like, why don't you just put the dishes in a dishwasher? And I'm like, because, like, it's just ingrained in me not to use it. Like, yeah. I don't know. And I'm not opposed to it now, like, per se, but I don't know. Part of me, like, I'm sitting here thinking, would I use a dishwasher? Like, I don't know. I kind of enjoy, like, the labor of washing a dish. It's kind of therapeutic.
I do too.
Yeah, I like the labor of that.
It's weird.
I know.
I used to have this thing where I do not, and so this is one of those things where we talk about change. So I used to have this thing where I'm not going to bed with dishes in my sink, right? Yeah. I used to do that all the time, even in law school. Now, if I'm staying up at night, I'm having a glass of wine, having a water, having a small little something to eat, I leave those plates in the sink. Because as soon as I get up in the morning, after I have my personal prayer meditation time, I like to wash dishes while I'm making my coffee. It just seems for some reason those two things
a good start to your day.
Go together. Yes, like I will literally like pray. I'll do some meditation, and I'll come in the kitchen, and while my tea is brewing or my coffee is coming through the Keurig, I'll just hand wash those few little dishes. It's something about that water, just in the morning, just to hear that water running, like, especially if I don't hop straight in the shower. It's just something spiritual to me about it. Like, I'll sit there and just kind of think about planning out the rest of my day, kind of continue some of my thoughts for my prayer and meditation before I sit down and have my coffee. And so,
what if that's like part of your blood memory? Like, What if we did live a different life at one point, and that's just something that you used to do? That's why I feel so natural and familiar and calming.
And probably so, but it's just calming. So now I stand there. But you know what though? I have a thing. It's something about washing dishes, and I never thought I would have it, but I wash them everywhere I go. Like, we was in an Airbnb when I was in Miami, and my best friend was like, "Are these dishes clean?" I was like, "Yeah, I got up this morning to wash the dishes." She was like, "Why?"
Way.
I went to Dallas.
Crazy.
I was washing my best friend dishes. She was like, "Girl, you have to clean up behind me and my kids." I was like, "Girl, I ain't doing nothing but sitting around."
Thing. Like,
I go to my best friend's house. She could be upstairs getting dressed. I'm washing dishes in her kitchen, and I'm cleaning up because, for one, these are people that I love, so I don't mind helping you.
People that I travel with will tell you that. Like, if we've ever gone anywhere, I remember one of my homegirls, we went to Brooklyn, and I was cleaning the kitchen, like, you know, after we had our breakfast and everything, and she was like, "This is your zen, isn't it?" And I said, "Yes, it is.
Yes.
Like, I really enjoy doing this, and so I don't mind doing it." You just reminded me when I went to Toronto one year, and we stayed at Airbnb, and some guys had came to visit us, and, you know, just chilling or whatever, chopping it up, and I just started like cleaning up, and like everybody was like, "Oh, you can't like take like clutter and stuff." And I'm like,
Nope.
"No, I don't really like, you know, a lot of clutter, but I also just thoroughly enjoy cleaning up. Like, I love the finished product of it and the labor of it." So I think that's so interesting. We have that similarity. But I mean, that's not hard to like correlate between the two of us. I feel like, as much as we talk about stuff and just shit that we hate.
Yeah. And you know, one of my life mottos is just, I believe in having a clear portal, and that not only is in your mind and in your spirit, but in your space. Like, I feel like I manifest better. I'm a better person. I think clearer when my space is clear, like when there's no clutter.
I do too.
And then sometimes I do like a little clutter. Like, I'll have all my stuff on this table, but I'll go back.
It's organized though.
But then to go back and put it away, like, it's like, okay, I'm getting something else done.
But
like,
you also know where everything is though,
yes.
right? Like, yeah, I've go through those bouts too. Especially, like, I'm guilty of doing it when I get really busy. Like, I ain't gonna lie, since I've been in this program, like, really in the thick of it, I have not been as tidy as I usually am. But it's because I'm always stop and go. Like, I'm always just coming in for a bit. You know, some things have to stay clean, like laundry, kitchen, bathroom, you know. But, like, the biggest thing for me is like the folding of clothes and putting clothes away where they go. I'm not always like the best about that. Yeah. Like, it's that part of it is just so,
which is so crazy.
It just feels like so much.
I won't fold my clothes, but I will fold my towels. As soon as they come out the dryer, I'm folding them. I'm putting linens. I'm folding up to the T, and I'm putting them away. And clothes, I just kind of just let them hang around. But to kind of bring it back around a little bit, I remember when I was in college, like, I forgot my first car when I was in high school, but I was obviously driving it a whole lot more when I was in college. And that was one thing that my dad always told me, like it's a crazy superstitious thing, but it's something that I've believed and I've held true to all my life. But he's always be on me about getting a car wash. And he was like, you know, as a woman, it's just, don't have a dirty car. Like, you know, clean your car, make sure the inside is clean. Like, don't have a lot of stuff in your car, make sure your outside is clean. And he would always say, like, you know, rinse the jank off your car. Like, that's what he would always say. And I'd be like, what do you mean? Because he would be like, you know, if you don't take care of the outside of your car ain't gonna run right. And I used to be like, what do one got to do with the other? But then he started explaining to me, like, you know, if you don't clean your car regularly, you can have buildup and, you know, all kind of stuff that can cause mechanical issues, just different stuff. And he was like, you know, you never know when you want to get a new car. Always keep your car clean on the inside. Like, don't let your upholstery and stuff get messed up, because those are the things that people will not want to buy your car for. Like, you know what I'm saying? Reasons. Yeah. So I've always had that in my mind too, like, just keeping a clean car, because my dad would always be like that, but he got that from my grandmother. Like, my grandmother was a housekeeper by trade, and she just always believed in keeping stuff clean. Like, I vividly remember my grandmother waking up every Friday morning. She had a standing hair appointment at 6:00, every Friday morning. Like, it was nobody's business.
They was putting them pink rollers in her hair.
No, she used to have, my grandma used to have a short, like, tapered cut. I had to show you a picture of it. So they used to be, you know, Marcelling her down. She used to leave there, and she used to go to Hamtramck and get us milk and grape juice. And then she used to go get a car wash, and she used to come back home.
What's your granny name? My mama probably did her hair.
She used to go to a man named Dirk. She used to go to, which is crazy because my mama went to cosmetology school, but she used to go to a man, but the man she went to named Dirk, he used to be my mother's cosmetology instructor. Like, he was the one who made my mama go to cosmetology school.
And she did my auntie hair.
Yeah, she told me. Yeah,
she cut it and styled and everything. Hey, that's her specialty. Not to get our track, but yeah, it sounds like your grandma's real meticulous in that way.
Yes,
in terms of like organization and just keeping yourself up, cleanliness, things like that.
Yeah,
I feel like I will talk to you about this off air. I'm not even gonna.
But yeah,
that's a more personal thing.
I don't think I know we talked briefly before we started about counseling confessions.
Yeah,
from college. I know. I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all. I said, you know, some of my good stories, I don't really know if we out of statute of limitations for them yet. So we just gonna leave those off of air.
Well, I have a nice. Are you gonna add a
story? My really good one was my last week confession actually happened when I was in college. So if y'all are,
so go back and listen.
So if you have not listened to episode 4, please go back and listen to episode 4 because episode 4 counseling confessions was crazy. But that all happened while I was in college. Like, I don't know
about you on the way over here. But you was like, boom, Chase right back on. He turned his lights on. I turned my lights on.
And so I don't know if I said it, but like after all that happened, like I ended up pulling right back up to my dorm. Like went back to my little extra long twin and went to sleep. And it's so crazy because I texted him the other day and was like, "Hey, have you listened to our podcast?" He was like, "No, why should I? Is it about me?" And I was like, "Yeah, actually, the last clip of the last episode, buddy. Please go listen to it
and get all your homeboys to listen to it as
crazy." But yeah, that actually happened while I was in college. So. If I went on a full-on high-speed chase in college on my own accord, you could only imagine some of the other crazy stuff I did.
Listen, and I'm not mad at you because...
And thank God I won't have MySpace no more because some of that stuff might be active. Now, that is one thing I will say. I am so thankful that we didn't have... Twitter. I vividly remember when Twitter started. We didn't have Instagram yet. Twitter started my senior year of college, which would have been 2009. It was either 2008 or 2009, but like all the other stuff, only thing we had at that time was Facebook, and you had to be a college student to get on Facebook. You had to have like a .edu email address.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yes, I was the first group of I was like one of the first groups of people to be on Facebook, but you had to have a college email address. And then
that was short-lived because I got on Facebook in like 2007.
Yeah, because they started doing cities then or something like that. Like your network could be a city.
Expensive.
Yeah, but our big thing when we first went to college was MySpace. Like I literally remember like getting mad at a nigga coming back to my room and rearranging my top 8 like pronto. Like
the top 8 was
serious. Top 8 was more notorious than close friends right now. Because now, when you on close friends on Instagram, you can't see who else in your close. Like, other people can't see your close
like,
friends.
You could see
top 8, for those of you who are not familiar with the MySpace era.
Who you really fucked with.
Top 8 was vicious. First of all, what was even more vicious is for you to get mad at a nigga and drop your top 8 down to like a 6 or a 4 and don't put nobody in that motherfucker. Like, it used to be crazy. Like, I had dropped mine down to like a top 3 at one point in time.
I never put no man in my top 8. But I think too, like, and this is gonna be another part of another episode. I remember putting
light-skinned Michael Jackson in my top 8. And then I looked at his top 8 and I wasn't in it, or somebody else was in it, or somebody may have made like a comment on the wall. Because first of all, y'all, let's be clear.
Oh, the wall.
We were real deal coding on MySpace. Like, we were putting backgrounds and themes in the back. We was like embedding music in these profiles.
We're real life coders.
And like somebody had like put some hearts or something on his wall. And as soon as I got back on campus, back to my dorm, I clicked out of that so fast. Baby, you coming out of my top 8, Michael Jackson.
Oh my
ASAP.
God.
Billie Jean.
No.
Get on. Beat it. Michael Jackson. And then maybe like 2 days later, he was right back in it.
Who's bad? He was right back in it saying, who's bad?
Yep, he was right back in my top 8 because I was back being Dirty Diana.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I don't think I ever put a guy in my top 8, but I was always like real private about relationships. And I know that's why people always thought that I was in a relationship. They always assumed that I had someone, but I did not. So I did talk a little bit about my experience just randomly going to New York in college. I didn't really say why we went to New York because it was a leisure trip, but it was also kind of like a business trip, if you will, for one of my friends. So one of my big sisters from our dance team, she was teaching a dance class out there. And, at the time, we went to support her and to join other wonderful... Turn that off. I'm talking.
I wasn't even trying to look at nothing.
I'm trying to tell you a story. So we went to New York, and she asked us like the day before we left. Was like, hey, I want to go to New York. And I'm like, tomorrow? She's like, yeah. Like, on some, yeah, you want to go or not? And I'm like, sure. My mama, she did not like that shit. But I was like, I'm going to go anyway because I'm grown and you can't tell me what to do type shit. I didn't say that to her, but it was like, that's the mentality, the attitude I had. So we went to New York. We spent the day at the W in Times Square. Really nice hotel. Really, really nice hotel. We checked in. I feel like we took a nap because we drove. Booking it the whole way there. Took a little nap, hopped up, went explored the town, went right to this dance class. And it was a very intense dance class. It was a hip hop class, was 2 different teachers teaching. And it was real cool, like just to be in a different city, randomly taking a dance class. I was living my best artistic dreams.
Okay.
I don't know who I thought I was about to be after that. But just going for the plot, at that time. Now, when we left there, we did explore the city at night for a little bit, but we ended up leaving. I want to say, we left like around midnight that night. Like late in the night. So it was 100% a quick 1-day turnaround trip. Drove all the way back to Michigan. And on the way back, we are thumbing through our textbooks because we had class the next morning and we had finals. It was during finals time. I don't know what type of artistic dream I was living. But yeah, we actually did that. And I regret none of it. I regret none of it. I had bubblegum shrimp for the first time.
Oh, bubblegum shrimp is good. Well, it was good.
It was a pretty nice spot from what I remember. I do remember getting like this spicy shrimp dish though. I do remember it being like so spicy that I didn't fully enjoy it. But I feel that I've had like other stuff that they had. The whole trip was a pleasurable experience. But I also want to share another story, if you don't mind, since we got a little bit of time.
Do we?
We got a little bit of time. I'm going to tell you about the first time that I got drunk ever. It was in college. Now, I had some friends that were drinking before then, and they had already had this experience. I did not.
That was your first time getting drunk ever?
My first time getting drunk ever was when I was in college. I had never been drunk or high in high school. I just wasn't really doing that. Like, that wasn't...
I'm going to say something that's going to sound real bad.
I know. I'm looking at you and I can tell.
My first time getting drunk, I was like 12 or 13.
Oh my God.
But
whose liquor cab? It was your uncle liquor cabinet, probably.
no, it was my mama. It was. I was
Whose
begging.
liquor
I
stash
was
did you get a
begging
hold
for.
to?
You know how like it be. I think it was like New Year's Eve or one of those times.
Yeah.
And it was like my mama or somebody had like a wine cooler,
And you drank the
and
whole thing?
I wanted to sip, and my mama caught me drinking like I wasn't supposed to.
You was drinking it like it was a Pepsi.
Yep,
You?
and she was like, "You gonna be sick." And she was like, "Go ahead, you done drunk it now." Like, because I guess in her mind, I was about to go upstairs and go to bed. But
that's got to be child endangerment.
her friend asked me, did I want to go to the store with her? And I remember like walking through Kroger. I was fell into some bread. It was like all bad.
Oh my God.
Like, yeah, I think the statute of limitations passed on that. Because that was like 25 years ago.
You fell into some bread?
Yeah, like you know how they have like bread on the end cap? I was like kind of swaying.
Dang, that shit was probably all
I down like
up.
a whole one of them, like, you know, one of them little Jamaican me crazies.
Oh my God. Yeah, the little Seagrams.
The little Seagrams, yeah. Like, and it's crazy because now that I'm an adult, it's like, I can see how that'll make a kid tipsy, but it don't do nothing for nobody. It's like drinking juice. But yeah, it was kind of one of them.
That's why you drank it the way that you did.
Yeah, I literally took it to the head, and I was like, oh, that's crazy.
This was not juice that I was drinking. This was not juice at all. In fact, it's always, I feel like if you remember your first time being inebriated, you remember what you were drinking. So much so that you don't want to drink that shit again. And to this day, in 2025, I have not drank this liquor again. Bacardi Torched Cherry.
Ooh, that don't even sound like something I should drink.
But
I can't say nothing because we was drinking Bacardi Raz, and I don't drink raspberry flavor.
But get this, we had it chased with a Coke, so it kind of just tastes like a cherry Coke.
Okay.
And boy, were we drinking them like they were cherry Cokes.
Okay.
And it was me, my homegirl Malika, her brother, and one of his friends. And they came over, you know, real cool guys. We was kicking it, drinking, having fun. They like, let's play Michael Jackson The Experience. This is when the Wii was popping. And we just happened to have a Wii at our crib. So we get to play in this game. They whooping our ass in this game. Like, mind you, we on a whole dance team. But at this point, I don't know what I'm doing because I feel like I'm hitting the moves. I feel like I was hitting the moves, but we lost that game, and I still think about it to this day. That's how bad this was. So midway through, I start feeling I'm swaying a little bit. You know, I'm feeling a little queasy. I'm like, okay, this is like really hitting me, but I'm laughing. You know, I'm having the best time. So I think, and I say, you know what? I'm just gonna go to the bathroom real quick. You know, we a couple hours in at this point, by the way. I go to the bathroom. I did not come out of that bathroom until it felt like till sunrise. I don't remember how I got into my bed. All of that to say, the next day, my aunt was like, she wanted to, well, let me back it up. I called at least 5 people crying that night. Just being an emotional drunk at this point. I called at least 5 people crying on the phone. I don't know what I was really crying about, but I do remember crying on the phone to some people. And I also remember talking to my mom. She was one of those people. And guess what? She was out of town at the time. So she's talking to me on the phone like, what is going on? Like, you know how your black mama give you that pep talk on the other end?
Yes.
But you can't like let nobody know what she said to you. She's going off on the other end because she's trying to figure out why I'm crying and why, like, what is happening in our household. The guys, they left by this time. So all of that to say, that was a very eventful fucking night. And it's like snapshots of the night. Yeah. Like, I remember this, I remember that, I remember that. But the next day, I truly remember. My aunt came and got us, and she wanted to go to the beach. I forgot why we were going to the beach. I think it was like there was some type of holiday. And we ended up going to the beach. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna grab my headphones. I'll be cool. Bad decision. I laid out in that sun and I could not move.
Oh yeah, that's the worst.
I felt like I was just roasting.
That's the worst.
A raisin in the sun.
That's the worst.
Just roasting. So that is my story about my first time that I had one too many alcoholic beverages. I never drank.
This is
Bacardi Twist Cherry
like a funny story really quick before we end. It's so crazy because as much as I hate Atlanta now, I had so many random like good times. Like I'm talking about random times. So there was this time, I don't think we weren't in college still. We had literally just graduated though. We were at a club. Me and my best friend, it's just she and I had went out. And this was a Four Loko experience. So we had one Four Loko between the two of us.
Do they still sell those?
They shouldn't.
Okay.
If they do, I hope not. And if they do, I don't think they're like
one.
if they do, I think they've changed the formula. They not like they were in 2009. I'm telling you that cuz I guarantee you by the time we turn 70, it's going to be a commercial. It was like
it's like malt liquor?
No, but it was like so many hundreds of milligrams of caffeine and like equivalent to so many shots. I'm about to look it up.
It was no alcohol in it.
Yeah, it was alcohol in it.
Oh.
Yes, but it was caffeine too. Yeah, it was a malt beverage with 12% alcohol by volume. It was banned in 2010 because it was a public health concern. It was banned by the FDA. That's how bad it was.
That's insane.
It was. Yeah, it's carbonated water, caffeine, sugar, 14% alcohol by volume in a 23-ounce can.
That sounds like, I don't even know if I want to try that.
Yes.
That probably explains why I haven't tried it to this day.
Yes, well, they've changed it now because it's alcohol. It was all kind of stuff. But they've removed the caffeine since 2010, and it was marketed as an alcoholic energy drink before, and I never knew that part.
Why do you need that?
I don't know.
Why you want alcohol?
Long story short, we could get one for $4 at the gas station, okay? And we could split it, and it would get us toe up. Well, one night we split one, and we went to a major, like a big club. In Atlanta at the time, and I think we may have went to like Compound, something like that. Well, me and my best friend in there, we see some guys that we know, like some friends of ours, some other guys that we know, people buying drinks. Back then, that was kind of like a Grey Goose era. I've never ever been a vodka girl ever, but everybody was buying Goose, so we was taking shots of Goose, drinking Four Loko, the craziest thing that could ever happen. Well, I get like drunk, like stupid drunk, and I throw up, and I'm just like sick, like in the club. Well, a certain R&B singer comes up to my homegirl, and without saying names, he says, how can I put this? He approaches my best friend, and he kind of say like, "Ooh, girl, tell me, how did you get that in them jeans? If you get it, you get it." So he says that to her, and she looks at him and realizes who he is. And I'm drunk, and I scream out, "Bitch, that's so and so!" And she like, "I know." And we was like, "Ooh, he fat."
Oh,
He looked at us like, "What?" Because we didn't realize that he was
body shame him.
Because we didn't when you see people on TV versus see them in person, especially guys, like he didn't appear to be that short, and a little round. So we saw him, and long story short, that didn't deter him. And he
bless his heart.
What you call that? He went out with us. I mean, he tried to he walked out the club with us, and he kept saying like, "Y'all want me to take y'all somewhere? Y'all can meet me here." And we was like, "No, like leave us alone." So they end up exchanging phone numbers, and he ended up texting her like 2 or 3 times after that, and they just never it just never went anywhere. But that's also kind of like the time I did go out on a date with a certain rapper. And I didn't, the date was like super weird, and I said I'd never do it again.
I was listening to one of his songs the other day, and I thought about you, and I was like, dang, I wonder if this is who he was talking about in his song. Then I had to remember how y'all met, and I was like, nah, because he talk about how he met the girl
At the club
in
or
the
something?
song.
Oh, yeah, I was definitely at work.
Yeah, no, I was like, nah, Tash was at work, but she was working at a different place.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Would you spend a block on that?
Absolutely not. Because I ain't even trying to keep it going then. Like,
I'm just being
after
messy.
that first conversation and that first date, it was like really weird because for one, and maybe once again, you know, I'm not a celebrity, so I don't understand the interworkings of the world. But it was like, if you saw me in this place, why didn't you approach me? Like, you had your stylist come up to me like, my friend would like to talk to you, and then he introduced you to me by your government name, and that was already creepy. It was like, this nigga, okay, like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's exchange numbers. And it was weird because once I finished work that night and went home like nothing ever happened. I got back home to my apartment, and my best friends was like, so how was work? Like, I think we're supposed to be getting ready to go out that night. I was like, oh yeah, I met so-and-so. He want to go out on a date. And they looked, at that time I had a two-way. You know, I either had a two-way or I had a sidekick. And I had flipped my phone open and I was like, look, we had been texting. And they were like, so you gonna go out with him? And I was like, yeah, maybe one day. Like, I was so unenthused because I think I was just turned off by the way he tried to approach me, or the lack thereof. And it was kind of like, you supposed to be super confident, sir. Like, you're the celebrity. Like, I'm a lowly college girl working at a retail store in the mall. Like, and here you go, acting all, you know, like self-conscious about the situation. So it was just kind of like a turn off to me. And then the things that I ended up finding out about him, or like the things that attempted to come out about him in the media later on in life, like after that, just kind of turned me off completely.
I remember some of those things. Yeah.
So definitely no spinning the block on that, because I might not even be in the consideration anymore.
Oh, right. Yeah, that part. Well, you know, I think this has been a lovely episode. I do want to jump into the sanctuary scoop and leave you guys with a couple notes. Please send us your confessions, or if you have questions for advice, send it to us. We want to know your stories. We want to know your business.
Yes, I know y'all got some college stories. There's no way that all of our professional friends listen to this podcast, because I know y'all do, because that's one of the things that I do want to shout out. I love when y'all are listening and y'all randomly text me about stuff that y'all hear, because it lets me know that y'all are really engaged with the podcast, and I love that. But we would love to take that engagement to the next level.
Yeah, so send us an email at thesoulfulstir@gmail.com, or send us a DM on Instagram at thesoulfulstir, and follow us on YouTube as well. Follow us on all the platforms.
Yes, make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications on YouTube.
Subscribe, and if you can, listen to the pod on YouTube at the Soulful Stir. So, you know, keep up with us. We're going to have some more events and notifications rolling out in the future very soon. And, you know, we'll have a couple surprises coming up in the next, I would say within the next few episodes. So just stay tuned for that. You got anything you want to add, Tash?
I just want to say, please keep being engaged with the podcast. Like we said, comment on social media. Also, be on the lookout. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to overstep, but if I'm not mistaken, we will possibly have a giveaway from one of our sponsors within the next few weeks. We just kind of got to finalize some stuff with that, and it will require some engagement on you guys' behalf. So kind of look out for that, because we are trying to grow our footprint in so many spaces. So we would like to kind of offer some incentives for you to assist us in doing so. So just kind of be looking out for that as well.
Yes, please do. So I think that that concludes it for me. This has been another episode of The Soulful Stir. Thank you for tuning in with us. I am Diamond Symoné.
And I am Tash. I think we stirred up a lot today. Because I feel like within the next 2 days, I'm going to get like DMs from people I went to college with, like, girl, why you say that?
Good. That's engagement.
Dark skin Michael Jackson go for sure call me.
Well, dark skin Michael Jackson, leave us a comment and
He gonna for sure call me.
subscribe to our YouTube page. You'll love it here. Again, that's been another episode of The Soulful Stir. Chat soon.